odd year, and usually it's under 20% of the people who vote. So, which is really a shame. So it's a very small percentage of people making the decisions, and then a lot of the decisions of the school board are what affects you the most. It has the most impact, the most direct impact on you, and it's where the fewest people vote. So hopefully, you know, I said that, you know, my continued hope is that the decisions of the board, you know, benefit the entire community, benefit the students, benefit the entire community, and you know, I'm hopeful for the future, and that you know, that's how I said, I'm hopeful for the future. So that's all. Thank you, and I will be abstaining.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
Again,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I simply want to say thank you to both Mrs. Yardley and Mrs. Miller. I have appreciated your assistance and service on the board. I consider each of you friends, and that's a compliment. I hope you take it that way. If it isn't a compliment, well, I'm sorry about that, but I still view it as something that I should say. So thank you very much. I look forward, hope you the best for both of you in the future. Thank you for the help.
Again, I just wanted to thank you for your service, Christine.
Okay, I'm going to call the vote. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 6-2 with 1 abstention. Projects bills list, self-insurance bills list, food service bills list, student activities bills list, budget transfers, financial report, superintendent's personnel, and EDR reports. Do I have a motion? Okay. Second? Okay. Moved by Joan Cohen, seconded by Melissa Kildare. Any questions or comments from board members? Okay, then I'll call the vote. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Okay, next is our student liaison report.
Hi, my name is Sydney Herman. I'm the correspondence secretary here at Penridge High School, and I'm a senior here at Penridge High School. And I'm accompanied by Shay Bork here, who is a freshman and also in student council. So, student council on Friday, we are having sidewalk chalk day, where students can draw on the sidewalk with some chalk and fitting their supplies. I'm not sure if you saw the numbers when you all walked in, but that's what we're doing to prepare for our event. Hopefully it doesn't rain. We're very excited for that. Student council has also been involved in Pearl S. Buck House with their tea party and Taste of the World, which is this Friday. And from other clubs, Minithon, I believe, raised over $62,000 for 4 Diamonds, which helps pediatric cancer victims, make sure that their families don't see a single bill from them staying at the hospitals, making sure that everything's okay and taken care of, so that's amazing. We're very proud of that. I'm trying to think of what else. Penn 18, the guys acapella group, is going to have their concert this Friday, I believe at 7 o'clock, so that's very exciting. And I think that's about it. Shay, do you have anything else? All right, that's it from us. So I'm a senior, so this is probably going to be my last meeting here on the board. So this has been, thank you. I started in August, and I had honestly no idea what the school board was about or what I would be doing. So this has certainly been an eye-opening experience, and I've learned a lot. So yeah, this has been a great opportunity for me. I've really grown as a person, and it's been amazing seeing how the school board works, and I really hope people get more involved. Thank you.
Next up is the President's report. Members of the public, I know there are questions and in some cases allegations that either the school code or the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act were violated by the board's decision to undertake certain actions, including voting down the purchase of a textbook, changing the solicitor, and replacing the board president. None of those allegations are accurate. Members of the board are permitted to discuss, debate, and talk about issues involving the board so long as a quorum of the board does not do so. In point of fact, it is the responsibility of the board to remain engaged, to question and provide appropriate oversight. Concerns regarding all three of those items were raised with all board members and should not have been a big surprise. I will also add that the process provided to board members when I got on the board for getting items added to the agenda required us as board members to contact and get the support of 4 other board members in order to have something added to the agenda for discussion. I do not believe that is the best practice, and it gives the public the impression that things were already decided before a meeting. It is my intention to change that process to allow for more transparency. You may also have noticed that in an effort to provide more transparency to the public, all agenda items that the public should be privy to are now being posted with public access on board docs. Given that tonight's agenda does not include any confidential matters, the entire agenda and attached documents were made available to the public. This will also reduce the time and money spent on right-to-know requests because the information is already publicly available. The process for reviewing right-to-know requests has also been modified to reduce legal fees. Only requests made that have the potential for including confidential information will go through the solicitor instead of filtering all requests through the solicitor. In addition, all changes made to the board agenda after it's posted will be presented as a motion to amend the agenda at the very beginning of every meeting, so the public will be aware of all changes that have been made subsequent to them viewing it. With respect to the textbook, I would like to add some clarity. At the February 5th Curriculum Committee meeting, a social studies program improvement proposal was brought to the board. At the conclusion of the proposal, it became apparent that the one textbook had not yet been published and would not be available in either a digital or paper version until the spring. I asked how staff knew they liked it if it had not been published yet. It was then shared that the company had provided a sample module that would give an idea of essentially what one chapter or section would look like. When purchasing a newer version of a current text, the process is much more simplified and does not require access to the full text. The idea is, if we liked the old one, we would like the new one. The process for adopting a completely new textbook is much more rigorous and includes a more in-depth analysis and comparison of the text. All of this procedural information was not clear to all board members until after the curriculum meeting. It was my opinion, and apparently the opinion of many others on the board, that we should go through the full process of picking the best book available for our students, whether we like the former version or not. Keep in mind, in 11 years, there's a great deal of turnover in a company and a great deal of changes. I will also note that I personally voted against the new version of the Everyday Math for the same reason. It just went unnoticed because I was the only board member at the time to do so. I want to be clear that our curriculum and social studies departments followed what had been common practice for purchasing an updated version of a current textbook. I have a great deal of respect and trust in our administration and the professionals in this district. This was not a matter of trusting their opinions. This was a matter of providing them with the materials necessary to form those opinions. This was then added to the board agenda and subsequently removed when the text was not yet available. One copy of the text was made available days before the next board meeting to one board member. Since there had been no access for all other board members, it was tabled. After that meeting, the book was circulated amongst board members, and then an electronic copy was also made available. Once the text became available, it was clear that the new version was substantially different from the old one. When a motion is tabled, it should go back to committee. That did not happen, so no discussion took place. Instead, it was placed directly on the next board meeting agenda, at which time it was voted down. Once a motion is seconded, there is an opportunity for questions and comments before the vote. Instead, the meeting was opened up to comments and questions after the vote, which caused a breakdown in the process. When a motion is voted down, it dies. It does not go back to committee. There should have been a motion to table it or send it back to committee if that were the desired outcome. That being said, we do want students to have new resources. We just want to make sure they're the best resources out there. That is why the board decided to keep the money for the textbooks in the budget at the Finance Committee meeting. Dr. Scheid and Mr. Vaverka are evaluating the text with their team and plan to bring a proposal to the board in June. Regretfully, there were many factors that contributed to the escalation of the situation, and we are committed to working together as a team to improve the communication and board procedures. I will also note that the program improvement proposals had a deadline that preceded the release of the textbook, putting our staff in a difficult position. If they waited, it would be too late to obtain the resources necessary to approve it for the year. My hope is that we discuss these kinds of obstacles in the future so we can adjust the timeline and find creative ways to get the resources we need without having to rush the process. I'm glad we were able to do that by holding the funds necessary in the budget while we carry out this process. I appreciate the way we were all able to come together on this, and I'm looking forward to getting a great proposal together for our students. Thank you to Dr. Scheid and Mr. Vaverka and your team for your dedication. I know we all want the best for our students. With regard to the replacement of our solicitor and our board president, the board's own policies make clear that the solicitor and the board president serve at the pleasure of the board and are subject to replacement. The votes to do so were public and took place after public comment was solicited. The role of the board president is to facilitate board decisions and directions. The majority of the board felt new leadership was needed to carry out those decisions. The role of the solicitor is extremely important. The solicitor is responsible for the day-to-day legal advice that guides and protects the district. The majority of the board felt the district would be best served by expanding the services of a firm we already have a relationship with and whom we have full confidence in to handle important legal matters as they arise. This firm has a history of assisting districts through difficult transitions, which has been helpful to Penn Ridge while we interview to hire a permanent replacement. The board takes this role very seriously, and the cost of legal fees is an important component taken into account in this process. Keep in mind the hourly rate is not the only financial component taken into account when looking to hire a solicitor. The number of hours charged is another important component. Hiring an efficient attorney with the experience to handle matters quickly and accurately, and who recognizes what concerns need legal review and what concerns do not, also has a significant impact on legal fees. A secondary cost can be the fees associated with legal situations that arise if you are not given proper legal counsel. These are all important considerations taken into account in order to find the best fit for Penn Ridge. While everyone retains the right to disagree, please know that the volunteer members of the Board of School Directors have followed the law and have done their best to discharge their duties. On a more positive note, tonight we will vote on a contract for the next superintendent of Penn Ridge, Dr. David Bolton. As we move forward, I would like to thank Dr. Jacqueline Radigan for her dedication and hard work to the students of Penn Ridge. Over the last 5 years, we have seen Penn Ridge lead the way with our STEM program. We have jumped into 21st century learning with a great expansion of technology, including our own cyber courses, and a one-to-one program at the high school, which is now expanding to middle school. What I think she will be most remembered for is her focus on social and emotional learning of all students. We greatly appreciate your commitment to the students of Penn Ridge and wish you the best on your retirement. While we are in meetings preparing for the next school year, we will think of you enjoying your time at the beach. Hiring a new superintendent is arguably the most important job we will ever have as school board directors. I am incredibly proud of my colleagues on the board for the seriousness in which they took this process and their commitment to finding the ideal match for Penn Ridge. The Penn Ridge Board of School Directors sought the services of the Bucks County IU to guide us through this process of finding the next superintendent of Penn Ridge. There is a reason they conduct almost all superintendent searches in the county. They have this down to a science and provide tremendous support every step of the way. The Penn Ridge School District works hand in hand with the IU on a regular basis. They know us well and have a vested interest in the success of this district. Dr. Mark Hoffman, Rebecca Malamis, and Joanne Parati have been instrumental. We cannot begin to thank them enough. The board initially advertised for this position of school district superintendent on February 15th through March 12th. The district received 25 applications for the position. The board thoroughly reviewed all 25 applications and chose 12 to interview for initial first-round interviews. The first-round interviews were held over 2 evenings on April 3rd and April 4th. Following the first round of interviews, the board narrowed the applicant pool down to 4 candidates who returned for more thorough and comprehensive second-round interviews on April 12th. Following the second round of interviews, the board unanimously agreed to a finalist candidate, Dr. David Bolton, who was invited back for a final third-round interview on April 25th. Following the final interview process, an initial offer was made to Dr. Bolton, and his attorney worked with the interim solicitor for the district to secure an agreement for him to serve as Penridge School District Superintendent. Dr. David Bolton exemplifies all of the characteristics set forth by the community and incorporated into our application and interview processes. His reputation precedes him. The board was impressed with not only his exceptional knowledge and experience at all levels of education, but also his honesty, integrity, analytical reasoning, receptiveness, passion for education, humor, work ethic, professionalism, fiscal sense, attention to detail, and dedication to family and community involvement. He is committed to educating the whole child and meeting the individual needs of each student in the most inclusive setting appropriate. Helping all students develop a personal connection to an extracurricular activity such as music, arts, sports, or other clubs is a strong ambition of his. Providing the information and supports needed for students to find and succeed in their chosen career paths, whether they are college-bound, learning a trade, or embarking on another journey, is another key focus of Dr. Bolton's. I have full confidence in his ability to bring even greater success to Penridge for years to come. Tonight we welcome Dr. Bolton.
Good evening.
Sorry, just a point out. His wife, Mary Catherine. His daughters, Rebecca, who's a junior at Elizabethtown. Elizabeth, who's a 9th grader. And one of his sons, Daniel, who's a freshman at Drexel. His other son, Stephen, who's a freshman at Delaware, I'm told better be studying for his finals on Monday night and won't make the meeting tonight. Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Banas-Clemens. First, I'd like to thank the West Rock Hill Elementary School for the district office meeting room display. Also, a special thank you to the PMA for a donation of $1,000 for the band trailer. Our Takes Pride theme for the month of June will be esteem building. Students will be reminded that the definition of esteem building is to honor ourselves or another for having a particular positive quality. When an individual has a high self-esteem, he or she has self-respect and self-confidence. We esteem others when we have a high opinion and appreciation of them. We can always find something positive about ourselves and others. And I have some points of pride tonight. While his classmates at Penn North are winding down the school year, 7th grader Nicholas Zotto is cranking up his acting career. At this moment, Nick is in New York to begin filming a movie called The Kitchen with Melissa McCarthy. The Kitchen is a classic gangster story that follows a group of Irish mobsters sent to prison. Their wives take over the jailed spouse's organized crime operation to become the most ruthless and powerful gangsters in 1970s Hell Kitchen. Nick plays Melissa McCarthy's character son and figures prominently in the story. This will be Nick's 4th movie in an acting and modeling career that began when he was 6 months old, but first such a prominent role. At age 3, he was the face of Crayola crayons and some marketing and packaging materials. Nick is in the gifted program at North, is a member of the band, basketball, and baseball teams. We can't wait to see Nick on the big screen. Congratulations to our students who participated in Minithon this year and raised more than $62,000 for the Four Diamonds Fund that supports children battling pediatric cancer. The year-long fundraising effort culminated early this month with a 10-hour marathon of dancing, games, and activities. The $62,000 raise far exceeded their goal of $45,000. Congratulations to the Penridge High School Orchestra on its rating of superior from the Music in the Parts program at Hershey. Congratulations to the boys track team and coaches Hosier, Wills, Kohler, and Plawa on their undefeated season and on winning the conference championship. And next I have a couple of alumni notes. Richard Curtis, class of 2005, is getting his own local TV show this fall. Rich gained fame 2 years ago as the winner of a co-host competition on Live with Kelly. Starting October 1st, Rich will host the Class H Room on Fox 29. The half-hour weekday game show will feature Philly area teachers battling against their students in trivia games and challenges. The audience, meanwhile, will consist of participants' friends, family, and classmates. Topics will include pop culture, history, math, science, and current events. Winners will receive monetary donations for a school club of their choice. Meanwhile, the high school recently added 2 new members to its Wall of Fame. Kurt Kelly, class of 1968, and Dr. Michael Gummert, class of 1993, joined other distinguished grads on the wall for their outstanding accomplishments. Kurt is owner of the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village, the site of the riots in 1969 that many feel launched the LGBTQ movement. In June 2016, then-President Barack Obama established a 7.7-acre area around the site as the Stonewall National Monument, America's first LGBTQ national park site. Dr. Gummert is a nationally known expert and researcher focused on long-tailed macacos, a primate native to Southeast Asia. He currently serves as a professor of psychology at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. So our current students and former students continue to do wonderful things. That's my report tonight, Mrs. Baniston.
Thank you, Dr. Radigan. Okay, committee reports. Activities is next. Mrs. Cullen?
Mrs. Vance Clemens. For the Activities Committee report, we have the minutes of the April 30th meeting, which I know we don't normally do approvals of minutes, but I was wondering if we should.
I'm sorry, is there, this is an informational item. You would like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Is that what you'd like to do?
In other organizations, they do approve minutes, so I was just curious if we should do it.
If the president wishes to entertain a motion to approve the minutes, the president may do so.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 30th, 2018 Activities Committee meeting.
Second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Where's the comment?
No comment.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Questions or comments from board members?
Yeah, so when were we told that we were going to be, approving minutes? So,
She just made the comment.
It's just something that, as I said, in other organizations, they routinely approve. I don't know why that's so shocking, Mrs. Yardley, honestly, but in other organizations, they routinely approve minutes, and I just thought I would ask if we should approve our minutes. That's all. It's not something that's uncommon. We can or we can't. It's not a big deal to me. I just thought I would ask.
There's a motion, just as the parliamentarian, there's a motion and a second on the floor, and this is the time for comment. Mrs. Yardley has made an appropriate comment. You've made an appropriate response to that comment, and so the question is, are there any more comments?
yeah, I just, yeah, I'm not saying it's a big deal, as you say. It's just that I think people should have been, told of the plan.
It wasn't a plan. I just asked Dr. Price. I said, you know what? It just occurred to me we don't approve minutes. Would you like me to have the minutes approved? It's nothing nefarious afoot here. I'm just making a motion. Again, if you don't want to vote for it, that's fine. It's not uncommon. It's not a big deal. I'm not sure why it's causing such controversy, honestly, but.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, then I'll call the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Motion carries 8-1, or 8-0-1.
Okay, and then the next item is approval of overnight field trips, items A through E. And I would propose that we approve those all in one motion unless anyone wants to pull something out.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Mrs. Dolan. Comments or questions from board members? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, and I don't have any other items for activities, and I don't see that the next meeting has been scheduled.
Thank you, Mrs. Cohen. Okay, the next committee report is curriculum. Mrs. Yardley?
Okay, the curriculum committee met last Monday on May 7th. The minutes have not been posted yet. They will be, Dr. Scheid, right? So that was my delay. Dr. Scheid sent them to me and I sent, so I believe she posted them this morning, but they'll be up in a day or two.
Thank you, Mrs. Yardley. Yes, they were posted this morning.
Okay, so they don't appear there, but, so we met, we discussed, with two motions from that meeting, the biographies and the donors choose. So I'd like to make a motion to approve biographies as the genre for the summer reading requirement for high school students.
Okay, you have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Mrs. Kildare. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries 9-0.
Okay, next, I would like to make a motion to approve a donors choose request from Ms. Kristen Otto, first grade teacher at Sellersville Elementary School.
Okay, motion from Mrs. Yardley. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Cullen. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, the next curriculum committee meeting is June 11th. It will be at 7:30 p.m. after the technology meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Yardley. Okay, the facilities committee met on February